Hello everyone, I've been pressing buttons on my new stream deck. Hopefully everyone can hear and see us. I'm devastated. I'm joined by Andy North, which is a rare positive in a crappy night because I've just seen Brian absolutely humiliated in Europe. How are you, Andy?
I'm good, mate. I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Yeah, I need love and support tonight, so I thought I'd start off being nice to you for a change.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Do you know what? Let's go down that route. Let's go down that route. We'll if the listeners aren't happy, they'll let us know, won't they?
Good. Yeah, they will. Everyone is saying we're loud and clear, so that's good. Clearly, the button pressing has worked. And Andy North, little treat tonight. Someone's played their wildcard.
I have. I played my wild card. I teased it last week, didn't I? And now I've actually pressed the button. I pressed it early as well. I pressed it on Sunday, I think. So yeah, I've been fully into the wild card mode.
After all the stick I get whenever I play my wild card, and you and Mark gang up on me and rip it to shreds, we're gonna look at it because it is. I'm not seeing many people doing this strategy. I did a poll earlier, and I think it's pretty divided between those who are aiming to get through without chips, and then those who are playing the free hit in 29. I think the wildcard was like 10% or something of people I mentioned. And then people who've played their chips is like 4%. So within our community, lots of chips to be played. You're going for the slightly kind of left field. I mean, what is the main reason for you like playing the wildcard now?
I mean, number one was I barely had any doublers. Like I would have had to be taking quite a few, like at least a -8 just to get 3 doublers out this week. I was not well set up for game week 29, and I've said it for quite a long time that I was just not a fan of free hit 29. Like I've said it for quite a long time. I hate free hitting in massive blank game weeks, and I think that was probably one of those things. I wonder what all that was then. My name was coming up in the chat. I was like, I'm not chatting. And that was one of my biggest things. Was I was just looking at it and thinking, I'm just not going to go through this period very well. I hadn't played the last couple of weeks very well either. Like bringing in Hwang, then bringing in KDB, who didn't do anything, bringing in Hwang, then having to take Hwang out, and I was just using transfers where I could have been using transfers to build. And I just looked at it and thought, you know what? If I can play my wild card and come out of my wild card really, really well, and in game week 30 and 31 not lose that much on the people that wildcard in 30 and 31, why not give it a go? And I did. I used FPL team, and I was looking at it and thinking, do you know what? I think I could do it. So I thought, let's just do it.
Ooh, well, well. I mean, that is there's no place for unique thinking in the Twitter sphere at the moment. We got FPL Raptor in the chat. Is also playing the wild card, or he thinks he's going to be.
Is he?
God,
I'm an influencer now.
Yeah, which is interesting. Sorry about the stuff that no one else will see all the comments that come. Basically, Twitter does an automatic overlay thing for the tweets. So I logged onto Twitter and it just went on our thing, but no one else can see that, so it's completely pointless. Your aim today, though, Andy, convince a few people to adopt your strategy. That's what I want to see.
Cool.
That's what I want to see.
Easy.
Yeah, so my tweet was, assuming you have the wildcard and free hit available, what's your plan ahead of the double game week of the blank? Get through with no chips, 41.5%. Wildcard, which is your strategy, in 28, 10%. Free hit in 29 with 43.6%. Yeah, and then used either or both chips, 4.6%. So very much in the minority. Interesting to see.
I like it. Differential.
Yeah, absolutely. See how that goes. We've had an influx of new members to the BlackBox YouTube channel. I really don't want to give you credit, but since you came on last week, it has absolutely blown up. So hello to our new members, Damien Brains, James Hoyle, FPL Forest, Connor Richardson, FPL Hazards, Cole Bugler, Ben Allen, FPL Bateman as a BlackBox tier member. I never thought I'd see the day. Jojo, Derige, John W, and Captain Crumble. A few of those are rejoining members. So obviously, there's something here because people are, or they're forgetting to cancel their subscription. One of the two. I'll take either, to be honest. But welcome to the channel. If you want to get involved in the Discord, just drop me an email at fplblackbox.com and I will send you the links. And if anyone's watching and wants to get involved in that, then subscribe and let me know. We'd love to have you here. Right, let's talk about our game weeks. Oh, rubbish game week. You see, red arrow for me, a 650k.
Oh, mate.
Oh, it was just all about the goalkeeper this week. Because the goalkeeper and Trippier Martinez with a 1 and Trippier with a 1. I had Kelleher on my bench with 9. And obviously, Trippier went off just before they kept that clean sheet. So it could have been very different if things had gone reverse to that. I could have had an amazing week. But in the end, it wasn't too great. Gabriel and Doty. Doty, though, a bit of a hero because I very, very nearly took a -4 to not have to play Doty because I thought he's definitely going to concede against Villa.
Not for Senesi.
It was going to be Senesi. It was exactly what the move was going to be. I talked about it on BlackBox last week. It was going to be it was going to be Estupinan to Senesi, which would have been 1 for 8 points. So
wow,
the 8 points that I lost on Martinez over Kelleher, I made up for by not doing that hit. Never take it for defender. That's what we always say, and this time it paid off. Rest of the team did all right. Son, Saka, Foden, Palmer, Haaland just with the 1 goal. Watkins obviously big haul, and then Solanke blanking despite the start against Burnley. We'll come on to him for you in a sec. But it was a bit of a meh game week, and it's a bit of a meh part of the season because that front 7, just everyone's got it, haven't they?
In a way, it's that whole
feels
Twitter
like
thing, isn't it? And when you look it up, I think it's Live FPL do it, isn't it? Where you can say, what about this combination of players? How many people own this combination of players? And it's always a lot lower than you think. But yeah, it's tough because obviously we've said it for a while. There's these kind of template players that are doing well. They're all on penalties and they've done work. Foden, he's just had an incredible season, hasn't he? So, and I'm saying that I'm selling him this week. So it's, but yeah, defenders have just been awful this week. And look at you this week. Your front 7 did well, but it was your defenders that let you down because other defenders and keepers actually finally returned this week. So that's what obviously hurt you. 74 any other week, you'd think that'd be a good week, but this week
9 attacking returns and a red arrow. It's at 600k. It's like, oh come on, guys! Like, what more?
I was about to say, you'd have thought at your rank 74 would be good. And I remembered I'm being nice to you, so I'm not going to say it.
It's just the fringe players, isn't it? It's like, because if you look at this team, it's very template, except for Martinez in goal. Trippier's been sold by quite a few people, and Solanke, maybe a few people have waited on that. Yeah. All 3 of those players blanked. Captain, if I'd gone for Watkins or Foden or someone a bit different, might have seen a green, but went for Haaland, the lowest scoring player of the ones we talked about last week, and not too great. But Andy, who cares about FPL points? Because Derek Knowles, nice job on the Werner and Jackson predictions.
Oh God,
thank you.
You said, do you want to join the WhatsApp group, wasn't it, for the Godfather tier?
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, go on then. This week has just all been Mystic as
I'm being held as an oracle.
Meg and all this stuff. Well, because it was Werner, Jackson, and Havertz, wasn't it? Was your 3?
And Kluivert as well.
And Kluivert.
Yeah, I had 4.
And they all scored.
I know.
So fair play.
I know.
Fair play, mate.
Well, that won't happen again. Is that what did you listen when I called Tavernier's brace like a few months ago?
No.
Oh, that was a weird one. As well.
You do well.
Yeah, thank you. And Nigel the Crab and the Kluivert pick. Yes, thank you very much.
Yes,
let's take a look at you. You had a banging week, to be fair. 86 points for you.
Yes, I did have a really good week.
Could have been even better.
Kind of marred by my late minute panic. So yeah, I had Dubravka got me 7, Saliba 6, Bradley got me 8, and I was bigging that up one night saying I'm going to play Bradley. So Taylor did play and outscored Estupinan, even though Estupinan started. So I was very happy about that. Foden 15, Gordon just at home. Like, you play him every week, he's at home. He's ridiculous. Got me 8 points. Son was 7, Saka was 7, Watkins 13, Haaland got me 12. And then the big thing I did, I was sat there. Do you know what? It's because I had nothing else to do. So I was just sat here looking for the leaks. And the leak came in that Darwin wasn't starting. And I panicked. And I even said in a group chat, I was like, I'm just going to keep him. He could come on and do something. But I took a hit and got Solanke. So it cost me 7 points in the end. I think I worked it out. So I would have had 90, but it could have gone the other way. Burnley were awful, but Bournemouth, Solanke easily could have got a goal, maybe an assist. So yeah, it is what it is. And Darwin came on and scored in the last minute. So the odds of that happening.
What I like about it is like the pain. Like you do the hit. You see Darwin isn't starting. You're like right up here. You're like, this is perfect. It gets the 98th minute or whatever it was, and you're like 1 point, absolutely perfect. then he scores. Solanke starts, so then you're back up here again, and then blanks, and you're right back down. What a game.
Do you know what? You know when you make a decision and you go straight away after, you're like, I've made a mistake here. I've made a mistake. And that's exactly what I thought. I was like, I've made a mistake here. And I just wish that I had the ability to make that decision in my head before I make it and then know how I feel. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, right, no, I'm going to think this is a mistake, so don't do it. And it was just panic. And I'm not a panicked manager. And I did. It was the first time I've really done something like that this season, and I regretted it straight away.
We've talked about it before, but other games, so Fantasy, for example, lets you reverse a transfer before the week. I don't think it would work so well in FPL because obviously you've got the price rises, so you want to be bringing in a player and then they go up and then you take them down, kind of, or you bring in a player and they go down and then you reverse it. That kind of feels a bit against it. But what if it was you could do a transfer and then reverse it up until 2 a.m. the next morning?
Yeah.
Would you like that?
I'm not sure I would. I like the definitiveness of it, like when you bring someone in, you bring them in, and you're rewarded if you wait a little longer. Because otherwise, you would just always jump on early and get the price changes.
Yeah, but I'm saying once the price changes happen, you're locked out of reversing the move. You see, so it would help if, say, you did a transfer by accident, for example. Yeah. You could reverse it and not have to worry about it.
Bench boosted.
Shut up.
To be fair, with the last 5 minutes, I was looking at it and thinking, I was kind of putting in my wildcard team that I showed you, because I was like, I've taken a hit. I was like, do I wildcard? It would have been awful if I wildcarded because Foden was out, Gordon was out. Like, so I'm glad I didn't do that, but I was putting them in just in case I wanted to with 2 minutes left.
Answer my question. Do you want the reverse transfer?
No, I don't. Okay. I don't want it. No. But yeah, so 74k to 66k, so about an 8k green. So we take it.
God, you and Mark are doing so well, and annoyingly, Mark is doing well as well. Another green arrow for him. He's up to like 14k now or something. He played Kelleher against Forest, kept that quiet against me. I was sure he'd play Dubravka at home because we talked about it, didn't we? We were like, oh, obviously Wolves haven't got a striker. We think Forest will score. No, he goes behind my back, mind games, even when I'm not even a threat to him.
He knows what he's doing.
Plays Kelleher. 81 points for him. A small green. He had the Trippier pain as well. He played Bailey in the end and benched Solanke, which, I mean, Bailey was a fine pick, but benching Solanke against Burnley when we kind of had the news he was going to start was bold. But another 2 points for Mark. He's just getting the rub of the green at the moment.
It's his season, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's his season.
Yeah, very annoying. What does that mean for the great and the good? I mean, I dropped down 1,686 places at 657,000 in the world. So I'm still languishing behind Tom Freeman. He's my main target, 40 points to catch up. He got exactly the same points as me this week because he took a hit. Oh, no, he didn't. He got 4 points more than me. That's including the hit. Damn it. You're mid-table, amazingly, even at 66k, just behind Fabio. He's pretty good, isn't he? This,
yeah, he's alright, isn't he? Yeah. No, I mean, you look at how bunched up it is from where I am all the way up to Zofa. Like, that's 8 points. Yeah, it could easily be kind of top 5, but then Harry's kind of a little bit further ahead there. So, yeah, I'll take it. You'd be hoping I get a few greens after playing my wildcard. So. We'll see what happens.
Well, I won't be hoping. You'll be hoping.
I'll be hoping.
I want you down in the mud with me. That's what I want.
Oh, God. Yes, you do.
Mark Southerns, though, he's up to 12k, even better than I thought. He is just behind Jan Kepski. He's 12 points behind him and probably only a few points away from the top 10k. So he'll be pretty excited about that. Look at the total hits. I thought this was quite interesting. There's no kind of really strong correlation between rank and fewer number of hits taken like we sometimes see. I've taken the second most in the league, which I think is quite telling because that's what I do when I'm struggling. I try and push a little bit more, and it often ends up making things a lot worse. Only FPL Guns has taken more than I have. You take a -20, which is kind of about the average, and then Mark's on a -16, so a little bit less than we typically see. Fabio's on a -8. He very, very rarely takes a hit. But look at that. The top two, Ben Krellin and Jan, only one hit each all season. Planners. So, fair play. Let's have a look at the chat. We've got Ron Waffles. Welcome to the Godfather tier. Thank you very much. Can get you some more pocket money with that, Andy.
Well, hey.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I'll go out and buy some sweets tonight.
FPL Alexander Arnold says Darwin is fire too well. Did you see his first goal?
I did, yeah. Very nice.
Oof, unbelievable. He's a really interesting one, I think, because we're going to be talking about chips and things. Because obviously you're playing the wildcard now, and what we've been looking at is, well, if you played the wildcard in 30, how much different would it look to the team that you've kind of put together? And I think in order for it to be worth waiting, players like Darwin are going to be ones that we need to take a bit of a punt on, because they're going to be the ones with the potential double coming and good fixtures. So we're going to do a full kind of coverage on things like that as well. A few tweets from Krellin, Mr. Ben Krellin, today and the other day. Brighton getting absolutely thumped in Europe today does potentially have a knock-on effect on double game weeks as well. And Ben Krellin replied to Mr. Slippers earlier, saying the one thing is it does mean Brighton are a lot more likely to double in 35 and 36 than Spurs. So we're all looking at 34 and 37. There could actually be a couple of cheeky other doubles that kind of get pushed in as well. He mentioned with Leicester and Chelsea are playing as well. Chelsea losing to Leicester would lead to Chelsea getting a double in 34 of Brighton and Spurs. So there's still the potential for the double for Brighton in 34. And it would give us Chelsea and Man City potentially. So a pretty rubbish double. I think my main call on this is it doesn't matter when we get the double who it's going to be against. Just, bloody hell, just avoid our players. I
was just about to say that. I don't even know who I would get.
No.
Like Gross, maybe, I guess. Like, just there's no one I was thinking then. Like, I don't think people are going to be getting Brighton players in to prepare for it, are they?
No, there's no one. There's absolutely no one. I mean, do we have to go into Brighton today? I mean,
no.
let's just not. We've got awful fixtures coming. We're playing terribly. De Zerbi's probably off in the summer. We've got injuries all over the place. Yeah, just avoid us.
When we finish this stream, we can do a late tackle where you just get a whiskey out and just cry. There's a whiskey in this because I couldn't go without it. Yeah, there you go. And then just one other thing I wanted to mention from Ben is if Leicester beat Chelsea, there doesn't need to be a double game week in 32, 33, 35 and 36. So there's quite a lot of implications that a team can have by Leicester winning, and there's a few that can happen with Brighton getting knocked out tonight. So just keep your eye on the GOAT of the fixture planning that is Mr. Brent Krellin, at Ben Krellin. When have I said kinder? When have I said kinder? Did I say it? Jordan Smith said, as I dare to do the stream without saying kinder. It's literally, you don't stop saying it. It's ridiculous.
You were bantering me for that last time. They went off air, and I was like developing a complex about it. I was like, do I keep saying kinder? And Matt was like, I don't think you do.
No, I don't. You think you're fine. I think you're fine.
That's good.
I am listening out for it now, though.
No, I'm not. I need like a little shock collar or something that just zaps me whenever I am.
That'd be good.
That would be a good idea. Let's take a look at some team data before we start. So what I've done here is look at, I mean, obviously a lot of the focus of this stream is going to be on Game Week 28, because that is the transfers we're making, the wildcards we're playing, looking kind of ahead, not kinda ahead. Thank you very much. See, I'm twitching again. So what I've done here is look in gold is obviously the two double game week teams, which is Bournemouth and Luton, and then the kind of rose gold or pink, whatever you want to call it, is the teams that they're kind of facing. So season data, looking at defence, you've got Luton right down the bottom. So I'm looking at my two Luton defenders in Kabore and Doherty, and thinking, oh, okay, not Doherty, and Doherty, thinking this is a bit concerning. Bournemouth obviously play Sheffield United, who are 19th over the season. So your Solankis and your kind of other players, you'd expect them to do well. Palace show up really, really highly on this. So for those bringing in Morris and Barkley, and that's probably about it, but anyone else that you're thinking of bringing in, you're effectively bringing in a player against two kind of top 10-ish defences. Bournemouth are 10th, Crystal Palace are 6th. But the last 6 data tells a kind of even different story. Look how high Bournemouth and Palace are in the last 6 for team data. So Bournemouth climbed to 3rd, just behind Arsenal, Man City, and Palace are in 4th. I mean, does that put you off the likes of Morris and Barkley and going in hard on the Luton attack?
No, I mean, I think it would definitely put you off going in hard on them. I think if you wanted to get, like, say, a Morris and take a -4 for a Barkley, I don't think that's a sensible thing to do. We've got to remember, obviously, they're playing the blank as well. So if you're not free hitting in 29, then getting those Luton players in could help you in that blank. But if I've looked here, I think in both tables, Forest have been kind of midway. So they're not a poor defence. And obviously Luton play them in the blank, don't they? So I think it sets it up very well for Bournemouth defenders, and I think people going with Zabani and Neto, it makes an awful lot of sense with who they're playing, and it sets you up very, very well for Bournemouth attackers as well. But I think tempering expectations on Luton might be a good idea. I know Mark mentioned last week, didn't he, about who would you prioritise, Bournemouth or Luton players, and I said Bournemouth. If you're free hitting in 29, you've got to prioritise those Bournemouth players. But I do think Carlton Morris, he's on penalties. He only needs to get a penalty and he's getting you kind of 8 points in the double, and that's lovely. So, and he's going to play both games. It's just, are we expecting both Bournemouth and Crystal Palace to keep a clean sheet against Luton? It could happen, but I expect Luton to score, 1 or 2 goals in the double, surely.
Well, I mean, I watched the Luton game against Aston Villa, and I was watching that thinking, I'm so happy to be owning Doty going forward, because we know that he puts in lots of crosses, and I think it's the most crosses in the league that he's put in kind of over the season. But his delivery is unbelievable, like absolutely unbelievable. And Morris is going to thrive off those
back post,
off those crosses. I know he could have had another one. There was an exact similar cross that came through, and he just missed it. So yeah, he was. It's an interesting partnership, kind of that going forward. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's this data worries me a little bit. Just seeing Bournemouth and Palace so high up the list, but Luton's consistency in terms of defence. I mean, bottom over the season and bottom over the last 6. That just pushes the likes of Solanke. I mean, so far up. I mean, is anyone gonna not go for Solanke this week? I wish I still had that triple captain's plan him.
Yeah, I've streamed twice this week, and we've had questions about triple captain Solanke, and both times I've said I think you've got to go for it. I mean, how often do you get a striker on penalties playing against the 2 worst defences in the league?
Yeah.
Sheffield United, I think Paddy Power have paid out on Sheffield United.
Getting relegated,
down, yeah, exactly. Like I think you've got to. If you've still got it, this is the week you play it, because I don't think you're going to get a better week personally. I do think Bournemouth, I don't think it's guaranteed Bournemouth score an awful lot of goals in those fixtures, but I think everything is lining up to the fact that, this is just going to be a very good week to own them. It's just a shame we don't have a midfielder. Like, if Semenyo was a midfielder, he would be the next bandwagon, basically. Everybody would be getting him in, because he is the player I think is going to play both, and he's going to be playing on the wing, and he's played quite well recently, but you just can't get him as a striker, I don't think. I mean, if you had 2 Bournemouth, so if you had Solanke and Zabani, and you didn't want to get Morris, would you get Semenyo? Would you get Semenyo over, I don't know, would you downgrade Haaland for free to get Semenyo?
I don't think so.
If you're free hitting in 29?
I don't think so, no. For one thing, if you're free hitting in 29, you're still going to have to get Haaland back at some point. I know it's Everton at home, but I'd still rather have Haaland than Semenyo. Well, not in 30.
Oh no, suppose not. No, yeah.
Because I mean, Semenyo's got the blank in 29 as well. So assuming you're free hitting on that, and then it's in 30, do you have Semenyo versus Everton? I mean, it's a decent fixture, but then it's Haaland.
Or Haaland against Arsenal.
I'd rather have Haaland any day.
I mean, look at Arsenal here. It's absolutely ridiculous how good their defence is. Like, it's 0.29 in the last 6 games.
Arsenal one, yeah, but that game is, I think stats, everything just goes out the window with that kind of game. City, so I think City.
Arsenal having an elite defence doesn't matter in that game.
Versus Semenyo.
That's true.
I mean, Haaland with the penalties and everything. I'd still back City to score against Arsenal. I'm still backing them to score against Liverpool.
I think I've gone 1-1 in that game.
Yeah. I think Haaland to Morris, I can just about come to terms with. Haaland to Semenyo, I don't know. I think that's one too far.
Could be a masterstroke.
But you're not crazy, because you look at this data and think, well, if you're trying to tap into it and we haven't got these midfield options, the only way to do it might be to go for someone like that. But I think it's a little bit far.
I think if you've got a good rank and you're consolidating, then it can seem even crazier.
What does that feel like?
But when you've got a really bad rank and you need to do something to
stop trying to talk me into Semenyo. Dom Dewsbury says, as is underrating Semenyo. Don't get me wrong, he's been brilliant, but he is also poo, right? He's playing reverse out of position as a forward.
Yeah, well,
no set pieces.
Because he's a winger, and yeah. He'll be a midfielder next year, won't he?
Yeah, I think, like you say, if he's a midfielder, no-brainer. As a striker, losing one of the forwards that we've got, I don't know. I think it's a bad decision. But I mean, if you want to go for it, you go for it. Looking at the attack, so this is kind of the flip side of the coin. This is interesting as well. I mean, Palace and Sheffield United are kind of right down the bottom over the season data. So, looking again at Bournemouth defenders. Sheffield United, I think we're all expecting a clean sheet for them in that game, and the attacking data is absolutely awful. Luton over the season don't actually show up very, very well. They're in 17th, and if you're looking at bringing in Luton players, well, Bournemouth are Luton defenders. Bournemouth are 11th for the attack as well. But if we look at it over the last 6, Luton fly up to 7th. Having a really, really strong kind of resurgence lately. They were absolutely awful in the first half against Villa. They looked like a League One team. And then I don't know what happened in the second half, but they were causing them all kinds of problems. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. I
crazy.
mean, if you had to say now, Crystal Palace away and Bournemouth away, how many goals do you expect Luton to score in those 2 fixtures? Because I'd say 2.
2, yeah. I think they probably get 1 in each. Yeah.
But if Morris gets both...
Yeah,
he might even outscore Semenyo.
No, I don't massively hate the Morris pick. I think again, if you're not free hitting in 29, he almost becomes a must, really, doesn't he? Because he's got the double and then the extra fixture. So I completely get it from that side. But yeah, I mean, Sheffield United attack though. I mean, the defence has improved under Wilder, but the attack just remains.
It's just dead, isn't it?
Just absolutely dead. So I'm probably going in with double Bournemouth defence, and I like that. I think they probably concede against Luton. Luton will be up for that game, but Sheffield United, I don't know. I think I
saw a stat that was in 2024 who scored the most goals at Bramall Lane. And Arsenal was at the top with 6, and Sheffield United were in 5th with 2. Yeah, they're just that bad, unfortunately. Yeah. But then I also saw the other day about Derby, where you think Sheffield United have 13 points at the moment, and Derby had 11 over the entire season, and you think we're watching this year Sheffield United being so bad, and every week we're going they're so bad. Yeah. How bad were Derby back then?
I know. You forget, don't you? Just how rubbish they are until you see the stats. And it's like, no matter how bad Sheffield United have been, they're still not as bad as that Derby, as that Derby side. But they're on track, aren't they, to kind of beat it. Bournemouth are in 12th here over the last 6, so bottom 10 in terms of that attack. It's just the opposition they've got just looks so good. Like you say, two bottom defences. So if you haven't got Solanke, I would be pretty worried. But Luton, I think Luton is the main takeaway for this. If you look at the season data, right down the bottom, over the last 6, with tough fixtures as well, they've been at it. So that promotes the likes of Morris and Co.
What do you think Solanke's EO is going to be this week?
Oh, it's going to be high, crazily high. He's the top bought player, isn't he? Already. Yeah. 170, 180%?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Because there's going to be a lot of people that obviously don't buy him because they don't get it all or whatever. But I think, I was going to guess about 170.
And there's going to be, I would imagine the majority of people who haven't played the triple captain on Haaland are also going to be playing it on Solanke as well. It could even be higher. It could even be like 190, 195. It wouldn't massively surprise me. Something like that. Oh, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Chewing on our 5%.
Yeah, I know.
Get about half a point for every 10 that he scores. Yeah, a few people. So Leo is good, says 200% EO. Justin K 185. Yeah, I think it could be really close to 200. Actually, Robert says Man City are going to score 4 against Liverpool. Well, that wouldn't be good for you, would it?
Konate went off injured tonight, which is not good for their defence. It's going to be interesting. I'm expecting a tight game, personally, but City can turn it on against anybody, can't they?
Foden's got a very good record against Liverpool. I was reliably informed as I hastily try and look it up. He has 3, it's not right, 3 goals and 2 assists in 6 appearances. Yeah, so he's averaging like a goal involvement a game.
I own no City now, so I'm hoping for a drab 1-1.
J77 Lag says Liverpool City will be a high scoring draw. We've both gone the same prediction in that one. Interestingly, we both went for a low scoring draw.
Yeah.
As we go forward. Keepers. If you're in the market for a goalkeeper, I think if you're buying this week, there's only really 2 that you can consider. You could maybe go for Flecken. Not sure why you would, but you could. You go for Neto if you're planning on free hitting, or you've got Areola, or you go for Kaminsky if you're looking for a player who's going to play in both. There's not really any goalkeepers you're going to go for. Neto, I think Neto's a great pick this week.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you're picking a new goalkeeper this week, I think a lot of people are probably going to move off Dubravka because Pope's going to be back soon, and I think people maybe have that Areola Dubravka double up, and obviously getting Neto in for Dubravka makes sense, and I do think that makes sense personally. I do think Flecken isn't as bad as maybe you're saying. I think Flecken could be a good pick because Brentford's fixtures are very nice moving forward, but then a lot of people are going to be wildcarded in 30-31 anyway, and they're not going to keep him long term. So I think if you are making a goalkeeper transfer this week, especially if you're free hitting in 29, Neto with the fixtures just makes too much sense.
I think the thing with Flecken though is, what position would you need to be in to buy him? Because you're not going to want to play him away at Arsenal this week. So that's one that you could wait for next week. If you've got Areola, you don't need a goalkeeper because you've got the goalkeeper in 29, or you're free hitting. So I just can't see why you would need to buy Flecken this week. And
Areola's got Burnley this week as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you're obviously just going to play him. Yeah, I don't know. And if you're not gonna, if you haven't got a goalkeeper, you're gonna go for Neto surely.
Yeah. And if you look at goalkeepers, if you were wildcard in the 30-31, it's not the goalkeepers we're talking about right now. So that's the other thing. Like, is there any point making that move now when you're going to change them later on?
Yeah, I think Neto could do quite well, because if we go back to the attack data for Bournemouth, like I said, last 6 they're kind of in 12th. Over the season they're in 11th, so they're quite consistent in terms of calling them a bottom half team. I mean, they've had some good wins against big sides, but it's unlikely, I think, they're going to go and score 4 or 5 goals in a match. Yeah. But their defence is good, so I think that boosts Neto's chances quite highly this week of making a couple of saves, getting a couple of bonus. Goalkeepers do well in double game weeks as well.
Yeah. No, they do.
Surely the Sheffield United clean sheet's locked in, and then anything else on the Luton game's a bonus.
Don't.
And when he saves Carl Morris's penalty in the second game, then it's going to be even better.
Oh no, because I'll own both.
I'll be all right then.
Yeah, it's after Morris's brace, obviously.
Yep.
And Zabarni's bullet header.
Nigel the Crab's in the chat. He says, inspired by Az, I've bench boosted by accident. You can't pre-plan an accident bench boost. I've got Neto and Kaminsky as my 2 goalkeepers.
Nice.
Yeah, that's probably a decent.
I think it's all right.
A decent shout. Let's take a look at defenders. So this is what I've tried to do here, and over the next few screens, is highlight all of the Bournemouth and Luton players. It's pretty grim reading as a bit of a spoiler. So Doty shows up really well. He's in 11th. I think if you're going into this week not with Doty, I would be concerned. I think he's probably a priority. If I was buying a player this week, he would be right up the shopping list. Solanke probably top, probably Doty second.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I went on a pod last night, and I did that. I said Solanke top and Doty second, personally. And then I think it was Neto was third, because, I mean, Doty, going into most weeks, actually, you're always looking at him and thinking when Luton score, he's probably going to be involved. And across 2 games, I mean, we just said we're expecting, 2 goals. He's probably going to be involved in one or the other, isn't he? So, and playing both games for definite as well. You're looking at 6-7 points from him from the double game week. You take that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and Palace struggle from set pieces as well. Yeah. So I think he's could do very well in that match. I then looked at other players, and this took me bloody ages to go down the list.
I bet it did.
Oh my god! So, thanks Tom, lovely super chat, cherry picking. I see what you did there. Mark, right, came up with this title ages ago. He's been nagging me all week to use it.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
like, I
seen
know,
it,
Mark.
yeah.
I'll use cherry picking. I did it, and then we had a FPL Rabbi message me and was like, "Oh, we used that title on our pod."
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, for God's sake, we're too late." Yeah.
I did like it because I saw the chat because you were going, Mark, can you send me a team? Mark, can you send me this? And he was just going cherry picking.
Yeah.
Remember cherry picking?
Never sent me his team or predictions going forward. No, it's fine. But yeah, looking down the list of other defenders. So looking at the players that we'll say started and have a chance of playing in the next game, which probably rules Senesi out. We don't think he's going to be ready. Burke is in 36th. I mean, next year I'm putting up a 90 of 0.15. Not too bad for a 4 million defender. We've got Issa Kabore in 48th. He's currently in my starting 11. Good. No guarantee that he's going to play both games.
No.
If I do end up playing him, I'll probably be happy with one start. And then look at this. I mean, Adam Smith, you've got to head to 102nd out of defenders for any kind of, anyone. 0.07. Kirkes, who like people are describing as like Roberto Carlos, kind of reclassified. He's down in 112th, 0.07, same as Smith. Mengi, if you want a 3.9 defender, he's in 130th. And Zabanye, who everyone is bringing in, prime, I don't know, Ferdinand, John Terry, whoever you want to say, he's in 144th. So he's definitely scoring this week.
Yeah, I was going to say
there is no doubt
he's going to be scoring. No, it's do you know what? I do fancy Kirkes this week though. I just if I wasn't on Wildcard and I only had to think about 1 week, I think I would be going for Kirkes. But I need Zabanye to be available for me, into the future, if that makes sense. And I can't look at Kirkes and think, oh yeah, no, he's going to play for me every single week. But I do think over the double game week, I think he could be okay. But it just goes to show you're hoping for 2 or 6 from these defenders in this double game week, aren't you? But, we'll see what happens. Zabanye, obviously, everybody's going for him now because Senesi's injured. That is tough on those people that went early on Senesi as well. And 12 minutes in. And
the worst bit of it is that you had to be brave to go for him because we were all worried about that yellow card.
Yeah, I know.
Because he had the 8 yellow cards. And
he's
you
not going to get suspended now.
Well, that's true. In some ways, they've won.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I very, very nearly, honestly, very nearly did it because I was thinking about it kind of over a couple of game weeks and just think I'll just get him in now and avoid it. So, yeah, I got lucky there. Yeah, Kirkes is interesting. I haven't got his heat map to show. In fact, good time to plug the Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you want to see Kirkes' heat map, which is very impressive, I have to say, do go over there and check out all their other stats, is where we get all these tables from and everything. I looked at that heat map and I look at him generally when I've seen him play and I think I can't believe how poor his numbers are over the season because he looks good. He's just not, his final ball obviously just isn't meeting the criteria to get this. But I think he's one of those eye test players that
he is.
Looks a lot more attacking than maybe his stats show.
Yeah, every time I've watched him play, he's always far forward. It's just that he doesn't really have that end product. It's not like watching Spurs' fullbacks and you think, I can see returns coming here. He just never really looks like he's going to. He's just always far forward. He's a bit like a Tyreek Mitchell, let's say. But I do think, just with the opposition they've got this week as well, I don't think it matters. Like, he's a slightly attacking fullback. He's going to be going up against the 2 worst defences in the league. If he's going to do it in a week, it's going to be this week. So I do think he's a good shout. It's just whether you want to have him moving forward. That's the biggest thing for me.
The big problem with Kirkes, as many of you will know, is Lloyd Kelly. Yeah. He probably is first choice. He's got this kind of unknown injury, and we're not sure when he's going to be back. The problem is if you go for Kirkes and Kelly's back within a double, obviously you're screwed because he's only put
with Senesi out though.
Yeah, you'd think maybe
Kelly could go into central defence.
He could have. I mean, Metham came in, didn't he? When he came off the bench. Yeah. Depends if they kind of change up. Yeah, to be fair, he could. But the bigger problem is, like, I looked at my defence, for example, for game week 30, and I need that Bournemouth defender to come in because it's quite a tough week for defenders. The fixtures are a bit all over the place. With Man City playing Arsenal, particularly, if you've got double Arsenal, for example, then it can be tough. Doty's got Spurs. There's some quite problematic fixtures. So the problem is you go for Kirkes, even if I get these 2 games, it's then game week 29, then it's the international break, then it's 30. By that point, surely Kelly's back and massively even more at risk. So he's a fun one, I think. The stats don't point to it, but he's very much this game week type punt, and then you're going to be worried. So if, like me, I'm thinking of a free hitting in 29, wildcarding in 30, if we get news that Kelly's out for this week, I'm going for it. Like, definitely. Yeah. But if there's even hints that Kelly's going to be back, then I probably won't. We'll see with that. So that's the season data. Looking at over the last 6, again, Burke shows up really strongly here. He's the kind of, I said about Kluivert last week. Well, I'm going to say Burke. I'm going to say Burke this week.
Oh, God. This was my reaction last week, and then it obviously came true. So maybe I have to start listening to you. Yeah,
I mean, 3 starts in 4, but obviously they've got lots of injuries at the back. You never really know who's going to slot in where. I think Doty played at centre back for a bit in that game. Maybe Kabore could come in. Or Bene was a right back, and then he wasn't for the last match. So there is a bit of concern with him, but the stats are quite good. You're probably not going to buy Burke. Let's be honest. I mean, Doty shows up well. The season data on the last 6 marries, which is always good. It shows that kind of consistency there. Kirkes in 74th. Don't be too excited by that. It's still 0.06 in terms of XG, not penny per 90. So it's not that great. And then you've got Mengi, Zabani and Smith. So in terms of defenders, not a huge amount is screaming to me this week, which has been the theme all season, hasn't it? Defenders have been quite a tough one to get right.
Yeah, they have. Interesting, Connor Bradley's in 4th there, though.
Good boy.
When he's played, he's done so well when he's played. So fair play to him. He's above Trent in terms of, I mean, last 6 obviously Trent hasn't played, but he's above Trent on it. So I do think he's good. I think if Trent is out longer, especially with their double game weeks coming up, he could be an interesting one because he's so cheap as well. So, I think Burke. I don't know. I don't think I'll go there myself personally. But for 4 million, you could bring him in, and then what? I mean, I'm thinking of obviously benching him for the rest of time. But other people could wildcard and couldn't. Is it the worst shout?
If the centre back crisis continues, then he's likely to see minutes. I think. Yeah. If they start getting players back and then Doty moves back over to left back, then maybe kind of less so. But yeah, one to kind of monitor. I think
the problem is as well. Everybody expects Crystal Palace and Bournemouth to score against Luton, don't they? Yeah. So you're looking for that attack in return. But I suppose he's up there.
Yep, he's right up there.
He's right up there.
Ryan Hall says, as wise Purvis becomes so useless an FPL asset, bargain at the start of the season, most frustrating defender to own in FPL this year. I cannot stress enough. If you've got him, get rid of him. If you're starting him, just don't. Just get rid of him for anyone. Like, honestly, I'd rather have Burke than the stupid man. Our season's just over, unfortunately. We're just not the team that we were at the start. It's like De Zerbi's fallen out with.
Here we go.
He's fallen. Here we go. I said I wasn't going to do this.
It started. Yeah.
Well, I tweeted about it earlier, and I was kind of confident going into that match. But this is the most important game Brighton have arguably ever had. Like, it's our first ever time in the last 16, and I cannot understand playing Igor at left back when you've got arguably one of the best left backs on his day in the league.
Obviously fallen out, haven't they?
Yeah, they must have done. They must have done. And I know he's had an injury. I know he's been out of form and stuff. But you play him. You don't play Igor out of position at left back. Igor has been awful all season. So what's going to change? Nothing. And to be fair, like, it was the first 2 goals for Dunk's fault. I'm not blaming Igor for the result, but it's a statement, isn't it? As a team, Roma are going to be happy about seeing Igor at left back than they are. It's stupid. And then you've got Welbeck up front. Welbeck played all right, had a couple of decent chances. He's a good player. But Ferguson's supposed to be our golden boy. 150 million to Chelsea at the end of this season. This is the game he should be starting. Look at Harry Kane when he was at Spurs in the Europa League. That's where he made his name. I just, there's problems. And then you've got Enciso rushed back from injury. He didn't look fit at all.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was very surprised at your lineup tonight, if I'm honest.
I don't know. On paper, the lineup, I kind of understood it based on the season. But when you actually dive into it and you think, I don't know about this. And, it's tactics, it's coaching, it's a lots of factors. De Zerbi's getting more and more frustrated with things. He's blaming the owners for not signing a new central midfielder. And then, I was going to bring these fixtures up later, but look at our fixtures from now until the end of the season. Hang on, I need the long one. They are awful. We've got, so after the blank, we play Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle and Manchester United in those last 8. The only really winnable games in those are Brentford and Burnley. We might cause a couple of surprises, but I do not like those fixtures at all. That run from 34, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle, Manchester United, I don't like that. I think we're going to really struggle.
Don't like that.
No, we're going to really struggle in the end. So
they're on the beach then, are they?
Yeah, in
game week 28
on the seaside beach. I think so. I just can't see, with the injuries we've got, with the way we're playing, with the frustration De Zerbi showing, the out of formness of our key players. Like we're going to have a rubbish end to the season. So yeah, I don't know. I would.
It says a lot that what Brighton have been to us for FPL managers for the last 2 seasons, and there's a double game week coming up, and we both already said we doubt we're going to own anybody. That's massive, isn't it?
Yep, Gross is the only one. Gross is the only one that I'd consider.
There it is. There was a super chat during your rant, by the way. Well, you said kinda twice.
Oh, did I? Well, I'm ranting, so things slip.
William Brownlee says, "Who would you sell to get Zabarnyi, Porro or Saliba?"
Is Porro fit? He hasn't been in training.
Not at the moment.
No. If we get news that Porro's out, then I'd want Saliba ahead of Brentford. I think Arsenal win that to 0. So, and I think Villa score. So if you're looking at this week, and if Porro's out, then you wouldn't sell Saliba, would you?
Yeah, if we got any indication that Porro's fit, then you sell Saliba.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Otherwise,
unless you're free hitting in 29, and then you definitely don't sell Saliba. Yeah. There was actually a couple of other super chats that I pinned so that we can highlight them. I think we had this one already from Tom, cherry picking, see what we did there, but I just wanted to mention it again. I did the Mark rant, didn't I? So we have already had that one. We got one here from Emre Carper, thinking about getting Kluivert as my 8th attacker. Yes, we're going to talk about him in a minute. Simply because he will enable Isak and Salah on game week 31. What do you guys think? Well, let's come straight in to Kluivert, because I think he looks great over the last 6. He's 15th out of midfielders, 0.56 XG non-penalty per 90, 4 starts in 6. That's not horrendous. Maybe a little bit concerning, but he's just scored. You've got to think he starts the next game against Sheffield United. I think he's the best pick of the Bournemouth midfielders.
Yeah, that's fair.
Would you disagree with that?
I think he is, yeah. I think out of all the midfielders, I think he is. He's in their first choice front 4 easily, because it's Solanke, Semenyo, Tavernier and Kluivert behind Solanke. The biggest thing for him is X minutes, because he goes off around the 70-minute mark pretty much every game, and you'd be expecting that in those 2 games as well. So you're not getting 180, you'd be getting 130, 140 minutes, you would have thought, from the double game week, which still isn't poor. I think it's different if you're asking his question, which is if it enables me to get Isak and Salah, then yeah, I like it. Because I think actually, what is he, 4.6 million? So if he's going to just then be on your bench for the rest of the season, and it means you can get Salah and Isak, yeah, lovely. I think that's absolutely fine. If you're dead set on getting a midfielder from Bournemouth, I do think Kluivert's good. Tavernier is somebody that's been mentioned before, and he's definitely got the pedigree as he's done it, but he's almost $1 million more, and he is not having a good season. But if you're going to turn it around, it's going to be against Sheffield United and Luton at home, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but I do agree with you. I think if you had to go for a Bournemouth midfielder, Kluivert's the one. I'm not convinced that going for a Bournemouth midfielder is the way to go, personally. But again, if it enables you to get Salah and Isak, then I get it.
Well, Kluivert hasn't played 90 minutes all season. He is someone that comes up early, and we know that players who play 90 don't just play 90; they sometimes play 99 minutes, like a certain Darwin Núñez did.
Yeah,
so,
true.
You want to be getting in players who are going to play. I mean, he has just scored the goal. Bournemouth are a better team when he's on the pitch from what I've seen from them. So I think his chance of getting 60, 70 minutes in both games, I'd say, is pretty high. So there's that going for him. The stats are good, and the fact there's not really another midfielder. The issue I have is who'd you bench? Because, with that front seven that I showed earlier with my team, Son, Foden, Palmer, Saka, Watkins, Haaland, who are you benching out of those players?
Haaland, isn't it?
Well, it probably is him or Foden, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I've had this chat with a few people, and a lot of people are mentioning Foden. And they're saying that, do I bench Foden this week? Because a lot of people are bringing in these doublers. And like you said, they've got their kind of front seven already set, and then they have to get another doubler in. It's really tough. I've done it on Wildcard. Like, there's another player I want to try and get in, but then it's who do I bench? And if you're having benching issues on your Wildcard, then you're in trouble.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know.
Mark Southerns is in the chat, by the way.
Mark Southerns. He said he sent it in Steve. He didn't send it earlier, but I can add it in, Mark.
I think he's just sent it.
I love Mark's little weird purple square man. That's his logo. What is the...
Looks just like him.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, cracking likeness. Jason, I've got to remember, Jason has told me so many times whether it's styling or stilling. I'm going to go with styling. Styling out.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. Solanke in for Haaland, Watkins or Morris, or stick and captain Morris. Tell what, we'll come back to this when we talk about forwards. But you take it quickly. Actually, Solanke in for Haaland, Watkins or Morris. You're not going to sell Morris, are you?
I mean, if it was me, it would be for Haaland.
It has to be, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Yeah. And then have triple captain left. Yeah, use it on Solanke then.
Yep.
You're getting Haaland, who you wouldn't be captaining, and you're bringing in Solanke, who you are going to use the triple captain on, and you're going to want Watkins for next week, I'm assuming. And then Morris you're going to want as well. It's Haaland, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd back Watkins over Haaland this week against Spurs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not an easy sell. But if you're determined for Solanke, then that's who you go. Oh,
The
styling correct, says Jason. Look at that. There
yes. You go. The only thing you've got to remember with Solanke is he's always got the threat of Harvey Barnes. So, you've got to be... No, that went straight over your head, didn't it?
It did. That was some top banter, though. Not now. That was I've forgotten about it. But last week, amazing Harvey Barnes banter. Speaking of Harvey Barnes and players that are threats, now Mark's in the chat. Elanga. Look at Elanga on this list. He's in 9th for the last 6 game weeks, 0.65. Played as a striker in the last game. Playing us next. We're absolutely bloody awful. Whether he plays on the right up against whoever the hell plays on the left for us, or whether he plays up front, he's a great option. Obviously, then has the game against Luton in 29. I've got a midfield comparison thing because if people are looking at midfielders, they're going to be looking at Cliver, at Tavernier, at Barkley, which none of them scream invest. We could be overlooking the single game week players like Elanga, like Bowen, who doesn't show up very highly on this. He's down 58th in terms of non-penalty XG in 90. But Elanga's someone you're thinking of going with on the wildcard, right?
He is. He really is. Basically, it's do I go with Elanga or do I go with Douglas Luiz? And Douglas Luiz is 16th on this table. But I'm looking at it and thinking, well, I could potentially sell Watkins in around 31, I think it is, where their fixtures turn a little bit. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm potentially thinking about selling Watkins, why am I keeping Douglas Luiz when I could be getting someone like Elanga? And Forest's fixtures are they're just really, really good for quite a while. And I'm just thinking that could be my little kind of differential in midfield. The only problem is I won't be able to play him this week, even though he's got a really nice fixture.
Ooh.
So, and obviously he plays in the blank as well. So, yeah, I do quite like him, if I'm honest. But I do get those kind of Darwin-esque vibes where he's getting a lot of the XG, but he doesn't seem to be able to finish them. But I do like their fixtures moving forward. And also it's, do you go with Elanga over someone like, say, a Morgan's Gibbs-White, who's also on penalties? That's also something to think about too. But I do like him.
I mean, Morgan Gibbs-White isn't even in the top 30 for midfielders. Elanga's definitely got the higher goal threat as well. If I had him, I'd be playing him this week.
Yep. We'll get to my team in a minute and you can tell me who I would bench for him.
I would be very, very worried about benching Elanga this week. Havertz up in 7th. What a climb he's had. What a return he's had. 7 goal involvements in his last 6.
Yeah.
0.75 extra non-penalty per 90. When I kind of half joked about bringing him in and I said, someone on the stream, hopefully you'll bring him in and do what I don't have the bottle to do. I wasn't expecting it to turn out this well. He's been unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, but look who 4 of the top 8 is all Arsenal. And you just think, yeah, it just shows the run they've been on recently, isn't it? So, Havertz is playing that role quite well. He's getting a few chances, and obviously he's converting them, which is great. It's tough to pick Havertz over, say, like Saka, Odegaard, players like that, because they're going to play every week. Whereas Havertz has always got that threat, isn't he? Whereas does he play? But yeah, he's definitely put up the numbers, and you called it last week, so fair play.
I think it's really frustrating with the front seven, and I know it's the argument's always going to be, back yourself and all that, but how do you back again Saka, Palmer, Foden, Son, Watkins, Haaland? Who's the seventh that I'm missing? Who's the other one that's really good? There a seventh? Solanke, yeah, exactly. Solanke with a double. How do you back against those seven? Son's playing up front. Saka's Saka's stats.
We're going into the hardest run that Man City will have, which is Liverpool away, then a blank, then Arsenal at home. They're the worst fixtures you could possibly have with a blank in the middle, and people are going to hold Haaland and Foden through it. So
yeah, but then you're looking at Havertz, and he's got the blank in 29, and then City away. So it's similar. I just think similar kind of thing.
When I was obviously pressed the wildcard back, so I'm in a different scenario, but I just thought I can't go with City during this run. What's the point? What am I trying to gain if I own City in these three fixtures? Don't get me wrong, I'm going to be jumping straight back on them in game week 31. But for a 3-week stretch, I think it's perfect to go against them. But this is what's difficult. People are saying that this template is so strong, and it is ridiculously strong. All these players having great seasons. They're on penalties. But at some point, you've got to look differently, because obviously we've got the doubles coming up as well. But hopefully this is where chip strategy starts to change things about a little bit. But, and I've said it this week on Twitter as well, and I don't know what you think about this, people complain about it all the time, but then as soon as somebody does something different, you get absolutely hounded for doing something a little bit different. And it's like, well, no wonder everybody just keeps in their lane, because if you don't, you get absolute abuse for it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like I keep saying, you're also backing against players like Son and Palmer to do well, while at the same time your differentials have also got to perform, and that's why the captaincy's so difficult to get right, because you're backing against Haaland every week as one thing, but even if Haaland blanks, you still need the player you pick, which is often difficult to get right with captains to go on and do well. And of course it pays off. If you went for Watkins this week, you were laughing, but for those two things to happen is really tricky to get right. So I see why people are sticking. I don't begrudge people with the front seven, but I do think if people are going for different players and bringing in, it was like a few weeks ago when we all went for Hwang. Those who went for Bowen or Douglas Luiz did so well. So there is always a chance, but I just don't think it's this week, because this week is so obvious what to do. If you don't have Solanke, you buy him, or you go for their defence. I just think that's looking
back at it with a little bit of hindsight. I do think maybe with this template being so strong, whether actually going different with captaincy every week was the play. Because that template's so strong, you're not really gaining a lot from it, and captaincy is the only thing you really can, if that makes sense. And I think those people that went with, say, Watkins last week, or they went with Saka a couple of weeks ago, whatever it is, maybe that was the play, because Haaland, he's obviously every week, he's in danger of doing really well, but I just wonder whether that's the way to do it. That front seven's so strong, and change your captain each week. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a tough one. But then this is where it's all going to change. Hopefully, masses of blank game weeks and doubles, and see how it goes.
I'm reaching that point of the season now where I've kind of. I do say it a lot.
You do.
Oh no. Well, I've reached the point where I've tried to play. Not safe, but I've tried to not do anything crazy to stay in the hunt, because I've always found in previous seasons, once you start chasing massively and start chucking your captain on defenders or bringing in players and taking out Watkins, it just ends up getting worse and worse and worse. So I've tried to play quite sensibly, the odd tweak here and there. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. That's fine. I probably deserve to be about where I am right now. But with the last 10 game weeks, I'm going to have to push a bit more. I can't settle. I'd rather finish 1.5 million, I think, than just stay around the 600k mark for the rest of the season. I'd rather push on and try and get into the top 100k and finish lower than stay around here.
The one thing that's good with FPL, though, is that you will have that chance because of the double game weeks and the blank game weeks. If you've got a certain way of playing and you think, this is my plan, this is how I'm going to do it, you've got so many opportunities to make those gains. Whereas if we were playing the last half of the season and it was just all single game weeks. That is so much harder to do it. Whereas, with everything that's around and with the amount that you can plan, you'll be fine. You'll go up. I still back you to get quite close to 100k.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me on these streams.
I know.
So I'll take that.
Yeah.
FPL Alexander says, what's your target rank now? I think still pushing for 100k. Ask me again in a few weeks. But I definitely once we get to wildcard territory, there's going to be some moves I have to make, but they're not going to be for the sake of it. I'm not going to take out Palmer for Cliver just because I think I'm still going to keep the good players, but I'm going to
Haaland to Semenyo.
Yeah. Well, players like Watkins, I'm looking at for the running and thinking maybe there's better ones that I can get who have the double and things like that. So yeah, we'll
There's
see.
a few other super chats, by the way.
Yeah, there is. I've got them.
Yeah.
Thank you to Dow. As he's a fiver to cheer you up as Brian got hammered again. Yeah, Villa, the fiver does help actually. To be fair, so I appreciate that. Villa are going to get top 4 and win the Conference League. Up the Villa, they've got to be one of the favourites, haven't they?
Yeah, you'd have thought so.
Yeah, really, really strong team.
Easily.
Yeah. Got nothing against Villa. Been a great side all year. Christofari Con, great pod lads. Thank you very much. If I bring in Palmer and Zabani over Foden and Porro, I can bring in Salah over Odegaard in game week 30. Free at 29 and wildcarding in roughly game week 35. Thoughts? Palmer and Zabani over Foden and Porro seems much better to me.
Especially if he's free hitting in 29 because you don't have to have Palmer or Zabani, do you?
Yeah.
So
that's an easy one, I think. Yeah, go for the 2. Palmer, you keep. I mean, we're going to get to your wildcard in a bit. Palmer, you can't sell him with the penalties, and Chelsea's end of season running is fantastic as well. So I think you need to be keeping him. Just a few more midfielders to mention on this list. I mean, down the bottom end, if you are desperate for a Luton mid, you're looking at either Barkley or Chong. I imagine. Interestingly, everyone is going for Barkley. He's like the golden boy of Luton. Exactly the same XG on penalty per 90 as Chong, and exactly the same goal involvements over the last 6 as well. 3 goal involvements, 0.38 XG on penalty per 90. You're tempted by Barkley, aren't you?
A little bit. I mean, you look at the difference in starts and minutes there between Barkley and Chong. It's obviously a bit different there as well, but I am tempted by him. But if you look at his stats and underlyings and things like that, he does kind of get eclipsed by players, say, like Bowen and that. And I think Barkley, I'm only really looking at him because he's got a double game week. And I've asked an awful lot of people that own Barkley how they felt about owning him, and they just want to get rid of him, to be perfectly honest. I feel like he's a waste of a spot. So I don't think I'm going to be getting Barkley now. Barkley now. I don't think I will. I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but I don't think he's worth a spot in my team at the moment.
I think Barkley is having an unbelievable season that I didn't necessarily think he was capable of doing again. But sometimes football performances don't always translate into FPL points, and I think people can get a bit carried away because he has been the star in that team. Him and Adebayo and Doty, those 3, absolutely brilliant. But I mean, he could do well. He's got the set pieces when Doty lets him kind of take them. He's got a great shot from distance, but I mean, look at these numbers. Touches in the box per 90, 1.
Yeah.
Like he often plays in the deep lying kind of role. Shots in the box per 90, 0.68. That's really low when you compare it to a lot of the other players kind of on this list. So I don't know. His chances created is high. It's in the top 10 for midfielders. 3.2. And that's what you're getting. Maybe you're not necessarily getting that goal threat. You're getting the kind of assist potential. Not for me. I just think there's better options in midfield.
Interesting one as well, but it's not a double game weeker. McAllister took the penalty for Liverpool tonight.
Oh, good.
Obviously, Salah came back in and did score as well. And obviously when Salah's there, he's going to be taking the penalties. But very, very interesting, he took it ahead of Darwin, I think. Because a lot of people were getting Darwin in thinking, obviously, he's going to be on the pens. But McAllister, he's playing further forward as well. It could be interesting with those double game weeks coming. He did well in the last double game week.
Yeah, I never... When I saw Darwin stepping up to take that pen, I know his record is brilliant, but I never had any faith in him. I've seen McAllister take penalties for a year for Brighton, and I said before, that was a real problem area for us. We had all these different players trying to take them, and we're lucky now because we've got Pedro, well, he was injured, but he is very good at them as well. But McAllister just came in, and I don't think he missed one last season. He took quite a few for us.
Yeah, he took a good one against us.
Yeah, so that was a pressure one as well, wasn't it? It was right in the last minute.
96
Yeah,
minute
I remember it. So yeah, I'm not surprised that he's taken it. I always thought he should be, but Salah takes him when he's back in the team anyway. So it's probably a bit of a moot point. We will move off midfielders eventually, but I just want to mention two other players on here. We talked briefly about Bowen down in 58th. Interesting, Gordon's right down in 59th as well, but it almost doesn't matter given the home form. Looking at the midfielders, I mean, who do you prioritise this week? Let's assume no free hit. I know you really can't, but if you were buying a player, do you go for Bowen, for example, with Burnley at home and then Villa away, or do you go for Barkley, who's got 3 games? Do you go for Elanga? Like who would you be kind of moving towards? Because I think this is the list of players. If you're buying a midfielder, you're probably buying one of Tavernier, Barkley, Kluivert, Elanga, Bowen, Louise, or Bailey, right? That's probably the full list. Who would you get?
I think it. So if you're not free hitting, is that what
let's go through them. You're not free hitting in 29.
I think if you're not free hitting, it's Bowen because he's got the prime fixture this week. He's got a fixture next week, and then he's an easy sell after that to get someone like Salah back if you can. So I think that he would be the one I would go for. I think I don't think I would be going for a Luton or Bournemouth mid because I don't think I trust them enough personally. I think Elanga is a really lovely shout. I just like Elanga for some reason. I think I will put him in, but I think Bowen would be the one I would go for. And also, Bowen's got that history of being explosive at times. Like he can get you the brace and he can get you, the odd goal. Whereas the others on this list, I wouldn't expect to. Douglas Luiz is obviously having a very good season and he's on penalties, but he's very good at home and they've got quite some tough away games coming up. So, and they don't double. So I think Bowen would be easily top of my list.
I think it's quite interesting when you look at this list because it just kind of highlights. Well, if you're looking at Tavernier, Barkley, Kluivert, they're the double game week players. They don't show up in the top for kind of any of these stats. Yeah. Then you're looking at the single game week players and thinking actually Bowen, 42% goal involvement. He's got the highest big chance per 90. He's probably going to be playing up front as well. It's Burnley next, which not only is a good fixture anyway, but it's a game I think that really suits West Ham because Burnley are going to come at them a bit, and that's going to give him space to kind of operate. But I mean, look at Bailey's stats compared to the others. It touches in the box per 90, shots per 90, shots in the box per 90, points per 90. He's got the highest goal involvement, 46% as well. He's a player who is going to be overlooked for the other options, but he looks good.
And also, if you this is very rudimentary, so apologise if you're a real stats person, but if you compared Barkley to Bowen, if you doubled Barkley's stats because he's got a double game week, they're still not close to Bowen. Yeah, which is kind of says an awful lot as well. And like I said, that's very rudimentary, but but it just says a lot in terms of how the output Bowen gets per 90 and what he's done this season compared to say someone like a Barkley. But then also Barkley's obviously played a lot less than Bowen over the season because he wasn't there at the very beginning. But yeah, I think it is Bowen for me on this one. I think Douglas Luiz is an interesting one though because he's had a really good season. I think somebody mentioned in the chat earlier, do you feel like this is a bit like a Gundogan season for Man City a couple of years ago where he just kept on doing it? Everybody was saying he won't carry on and he just kept on doing it. Do you think that's Douglas Luiz this year or do you think, you can go against him a little bit because he's cheap, he's on pens, he's on a good Villa team, top 4?
He's another, I mean, his stats aren't awful. If we go back to, I think you said he was in 16th. Yeah,
there he is. Yeah, 16th. Yeah,
0.54. That's not factoring the penalties as well. So it's high. And I look at him from open play. He scored a few goals from around inside the box. He's got that run, like you say, that Gundogan type run where he gets into the box. But also his open play crossing and ability to pick out a pass is absolutely phenomenal. So he can create something out of nothing. And because Villa have got so much pace going forward, little ball over the top onto a Watkins or a Bailey. That player's through. Assist. Doesn't matter where he's playing on the pitch. Doesn't matter if he's playing in the quarterback role. Like that suits that kind of player having that much pace. So I really like him. I think he's an excellent pick. Like I say, I think this list is difficult to know kind of the best way to go. I think it's interesting between Douglas Luiz and Bailey, like it has been for weeks now, because Bailey's stats are so impressive, but Douglas Luiz just has a few more strings. But the goal involvement does skew towards Bailey now. He's kind of got that spot cemented. So I think I'd still lean that way if I was buying. I just don't want him because of Mark. That's the main reason I don't. I hate the fact Mark was so right about Bailey early on.
He loves a Villa winger, doesn't he? It was all about Diaby at the beginning of the season. Now it's Bailey.
I know. Diaby. I thought Diaby was bloody awful, I never went for Bailey. I should have done. Yeah. I mean, what if you are free hitting in 29 and you need a midfielder? Do you adopt a similar approach? Because remember, you're going to probably have that player for a bit after the blank. Depending what
it's
you
a
want.
lot tougher. It's a lot tougher because you'd want the doublers, wouldn't you? But I still wouldn't go for the Luton and Bournemouth midfielders as my priorities. That's the thing. And obviously, if you're free hitting, I mean, yeah, I just think I'd probably prioritise somewhere else in my team. I don't think I'd be getting one of these midfielders.
Yeah.
Personally, I just none of them really do it. I mean, Bowen still has that nice fixture of Burnley this week, and then you'd be maybe wildcarding after. I don't know.
It's Newcastle in 30 as well, and we've seen how poor their defence has been. So even if you bring in Bowen this week, and you're free hitting, and then he comes back in for Newcastle, you're not going to be that worried about playing him in that match. I think all roads lead to Bowen. I don't think it really necessarily matters what your strategy is. I can't imagine. I imagine your wild card you've got Bowen, for example.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So if you're wild carding, if you're planning on free hitting, if you're looking to make any midfielder move, I think Bowen is the key. Yeah. Cool. Forwards. So this is forwards over the season. I'm afraid I don't have a Nicholas Jackson type pick for us. Although you've said Semenyo, so maybe he's the one. Where is he over the season on this list? Is he on here? Where is he? Not even in the top 30.
No, not on there.
That's like surely he's in the for the top 6.
Yeah, he's 27th.
There you go, 20s. That's not
boom.
Little bit concerning, but yeah, he is on there. I mean, my pick, like it was last week. I mean, I got a bit lucky with Werner because I recommended Werner, but I said the game you want him for is Villa.
Yeah.
So I'm going to recommend him again. I think if you're not free hitting and you're looking for a striker move and you're looking to push a little bit, Timo Werner up against Aston Villa's high line and then into a game against Fulham.
Yeah, could be. I mean, did you see?
Now you've come around to it a little bit more.
Did you see the miss though? Did you see the one Son, put him through and he tried to go round the keeper? No, didn't see that one.
It's just propaganda against him. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I won't be going there personally. The player I was going to mention on here is 23rd. He's only 4.5 million. He's been on absolute stormer the last couple of weeks, which is Muniz. There you go. Look, Colin Bugler said it. Yeah, I think he is somebody that's going to turning into a lot of teams. If you're not free hitting in 29 and you're not on wildcard, I can see a lot of worse things to do than get him in.
Yeah.
4.5 million. And when I'm looking at a lot of teams moving forward as well, I think a lot of people are going to start going to 5 in midfield because the midfield options are so good and they're going to want Haaland and Salah. So I think a lot of people are going to be going to 5 in midfield and 2 up front. And Muniz is perfect. Absolutely perfect for that.
Once in 5 games. Muniz. Yeah. That is for 4.5 million. He's the Cameron Archer that we all wanted.
Yeah, he's what we wanted Cameron Archer to be. He's I think it's a good shout. 4.5 million as well. Like he's one of those players you just think, just get him, and if he's on your bench every week, he is, and if you can play him in a week, then fine. But I do think that's the way that things are going to be going. That kind of 3-5-2. So I think he's a perfect player to have.
Yeah, I don't particularly like him this week against Wolves. I think that that should be a game where Wolves look to win that. Fairly comfortably. I'd say they probably don't concede in that. But Spurs at home, I can see him causing them problems. And then who have they got in game week 30? Sheffield United.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a lovely transfer ahead of 29 and 30.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you're not free hitting 29, I think he's a perfect player to get in.
Yeah. No, I really like that one. Tony, interesting as well. Just wanted to flag him because obviously we're going into the blank. He's got arguably the best game against Burnley. I think he's probably still going to be captained by a fairly sizable chunk of people. Probably Son or Tony. They're going to be the two favourites. But his underlying numbers aren't amazing. We're down in 21st out of forwards. Hasn't scored now in a couple of games, and a lot of people invested in him early. I think against Chelsea we were thinking he could get something. In that game, it didn't. It's an Arsenal next. We're probably not expecting too much. That is the kind of game where Tony's just going to deliver some shithouse performance, isn't he? And and rub it in and ruin their title charge or something, and end up signing for them in the summer. The script's written.
His fixtures from 29 onwards are quite ridiculous, aren't they? Like Burnley away, Man United at home, 100% expect him to score against us. And then Brighton at home, which we all seen as could be, loads of goals there. Villa away, which is the tricky one, but then Sheffield United at home, Luton away, Everton away, Fulham at home, Bournemouth away. Like, I think it's tough. This is where I was just saying we could be going 3-5-2, but obviously if you want maybe that third striker, Tony could be the one as well. Those fixtures are lovely. I think it's going to be quite popular, people moving Solanke to Tony in the blank, which is what I'm planning to do as well. And he's going to be wanting to get in the shop window, isn't he? He could finish the season very strongly. Yeah,
I'm just trying to change the ticker because if you sort it by difficulty, you can see how good Brentford fixtures are. That should be it. Look at that. There you go. Yeah. So Brentford are third. That's if you buy now. But you look at them from 29. I mean, they've got Burnley, Brighton, Sheffield United, Luton, Everton, Fulham, and then Newcastle at home on the last day of the season. Those are all teams in the bottom half of the defensive data. So
Man United at home as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd back them in to score in a lot of these games. I know they haven't been great, but defensively they've been poor. But I think it could be a really good run for Tony. And I think again that's going to be a decision people make on the wild card if they are playing it in 30-31 because the fixtures are great, but there's not a double for them.
Yeah.
So do you kind of maybe you get him in and then you kind of move him on? I think certainly for Burnley, we're gonna want him. Interestingly, your wildcard, when we come to it, I don't think has Tony at the moment, is it? So,
well, no, not at the moment because they got Arsenal away, which is literally like the worst fixture he could have based on Arsenal's defence. So it doesn't have Tony at the moment. But in 29, it's just because I haven't. Originally, I wasn't going to do that move, so I just need to make sure that the other moves I want to do still work if I have to upgrade Solanke to Tony.
Dom Dewsbury mentions Mbeumo as well, back in training.
Yeah, been out for a long time though.
He has probably not ready for us to bring in, but someone I think who boosts Tony again because they've got such a good understanding when they play. Yeah,
but remember, we all loved Mbeumo because Tony was out and he was on penalties, and I don't think it's going to be the Mbeumo we saw at the beginning of the season. I don't think.
No, it's too early, isn't it? If it was a couple of weeks' time and he'd got a bit more time under his belt, you'd be a bit more keen to go there, but. Not maybe a bit too soon. This is the free hit. This was actually Mark's free hit that he showed us last week. The free hit for 29. Interesting to see how this kind of develops. Obviously, not massive amounts of choice for us, but he had Flecken in goal, Reguilon, Porro, who could be Destiny depending on fitness, Doty, Maddison, Bowen, Son, Bailey, Ilanga, Tony, Watkins. I went to build a new free hit team this week, and I literally built that. Really? And I looked back at this screen and thought, for God's sake, I'm going to end up having the same bloody free hit team as Mark.
He's in your head, isn't he?
But it's hard. I mean, you could go Louise over Bailey. You could go Werner instead of Maddison. But I think that's probably about as good as it gets, isn't it? Or maybe Morris comes in for someone.
Yeah, I'd have said so. I don't think you're going to be getting much better than that. And you look at the defence as well. A lot of the defences you're going to be picking in that week, you're not expecting a clean sheet from, I don't think. So it's all about those attackers, really. And if you've got Tony, Watkins, Son, Bowen, I think if you've got those main four and then kind of one or two others, I think you're fine, really.
I think there's potential here, though. There's potential for one or two of these players to get decent returns. Going for the double Spurs mids, I wouldn't be able to get that if I didn't free hit. I think Bowen up against Villa, playing up front, is good. I think you can go hard on Brentford because Burnley are that bad that 3-0 Brentford wouldn't be a huge surprise. I think there is potential with a free hit, and I'm 99% locked into that now. I think Mark said he was 90%. Something.
What would change it?
What would change it?
So you said 99 and he's 90. What's the extra percent? Why not 100%?
Well, if I decided to take a -8 tonight and bring in Bowen, Maddison and someone else, I'm not going to do that.
No, I was going to say, yeah.
I don't want to commit to fully 100% because then if I don't do it, then everyone's like, "Oh, you told us you were 99."
Fair, okay.
It's going to be
Captaincy's going to be interested in that week though, because I'm on Son at the moment. I think.
Yeah, I'm not. Fulham are decent. Fulham are a decent side. I mean, they just thrash us. We doesn't say a lot about them, but I don't know if they get absolutely turned over. Whereas I look at Burnley and just think they could lose that game heavily, and then Tony's got so much going for him in that attack. I think it's between those two.
Yeah.
If Son's up front, if Richarlison's back, maybe that dents him a bit. But we don't think he's going to be back, do we?
Well, he's been saying that he's ready for this week, but it doesn't look like he will be.
Yeah, that was
so
weird,
I think he will
wasn't
be back
it?
sooner than we think. But yeah, I think he will be back sooner than we think.
And then Postecoglou did his weird rant about how he's very prickly, Postecoglou, isn't he?
He is. He kind of says that people are going to be injured for longer than they are. I think he always errs on the side of caution and says they're going to be out for this long, and then they're sometimes back a little bit earlier than you think. So that could be the case with Richarlison as well.
Yeah, I think he looks at it was like when the injury's over, they're like fully back and ready in the team, because it was like Van de Ven, wasn't it? He was like right at the end of what he said, and he just came straight back into the side. So in some ways, it's nice because you know that when they're back, they're going to be fit and firing. Fully back, exactly. Come on then, let's take a look at your wildcards.
Woohoo!
So what I wanted to do was look at the wildcard, but then look at how things are going to shape up for you kind of over the next few weeks as well. So talk us through. So this is, I imagine if people have seen the Scoutcast already, they'll have a bit of a spoiler for this. But this is the wildcard. Talk us through it.
Yeah, and I will say as well, I posted this on Twitter afterwards, and it got 600 bookmarks, which I'm assuming 500 of those bookmarks, I'm assuming 500 of them are just people ready to laugh at me when this goes wrong.
Unfortunate FPL images?
yeah, exactly. So I've got Neto in goal with the double game week. I've got Gabriel. I've had Saliba as well, remember, and it's Gabriel that I've wanted every week, and I've just never been able to make that move. So I've been able to do that now. Doughty with the double, Zabani with the double, Palmer at home to Newcastle, Bowen home to Burnley, Son, Saka, Watkins, Morris, and then Solanke captain. So I've got Udogie, Douglas Luiz, and Reguilon on the bench with Areola as well. This has got 12.7 million in the bank, because what I want to do is do Solanke to Tony in game week 29, get Bowen for Salah in game week 30, and then Watkins to Haaland in game week 31. So that's my plan at the moment. And Douglas Luiz could be a Langer. That's my thing that I'm kind of looking at the moment. I'm happy with this. And when I've looked at a lot of teams that are like, oh, this is what my team could look like in game week 30, 31, I'm not that far away. It's just defenders, really. It's the defenders where, you know, people will have Branthwaite, people will have a Botman, people have whatever it is. It's Everton and Newcastle for that double. But remember, I've still got my free hit. I've still got my bench boost. And at the moment, I'm thinking I'm going to try and build to game week 34 in bench boost and then free hit in 37. But I could always just free hit in 34 if I wanted to anyway. So I'm actually really happy with it. I had Solanke, and that was it for the double game week. And obviously, I could have taken quite a few hits to get where I wanted to there. 29, I had nothing, so I was going to use my free hit. So after 29, I was either going to be wildcardless or free hitless. So at least doing it this way, I can really attack 28. I can attack 29 in a way. I won't have 11, I'll have 10, which I think is fine. And then after that, I'm going to have Salah and Haaland back. So it's booking in transfers, which is never good. Well, I say never good. It can always be a bit dangerous. But I actually quite like it. And I looked at this for a long time, like for 2 weeks. I was looking at it in 27 and obviously didn't do it. But then I looked at it in 28 and thought, do you know what? I'm seeing a route that I really, really like. And I'm seeing a route that I don't think a lot of people are looking at properly. And I like it. So I've gone for it. And I've kind of got my plan until the end of the season, roughly. And I feel like it's all right. People don't like things that are different, and I've got a lot of stick for it. But at the same time, I don't think people have looked at it in nearly as much detail as I have. So I'm quite happy.
You've kept six players. I mean, arguably 7. You've done Saliba to Gabriel. I think sorting out your defence, like you had Bradley, Taylor, Estupiñán, and Mitchell. Like that needs to be dealt with at some point.
What's wrong with Mitchell?
good defence, clearly. But I don't know. That needed to be sorted. I mean, your midfield, you've basically done Gordon to Bowen, which I mean, I
didn't have Palmer.
kind of. You could hold Palmer as well. Yeah, you got.
I didn't have Douglas Luiz.
You got Palmer back. Yeah,
So
I mean
there's
it's
only 2 midfielders. Yeah,
I mean, you've lost Haaland, but obviously you're bringing him back, and you've got a route back to
and
Salah.
I've lost Foden.
Yeah, and you've lost Foden, but you've done that at the kind of right time.
Foden's the biggest one because I won't be able to get Foden back for quite a while. So I won't be able to get him back before 31 because I've got Salah and Haaland that I need to get back. And Foden, it's really tough getting Foden back in unless I get Foden in for Son, which would be around game week 33 because then they'll have a tough fixture and then they've got a blank, I think it is, potential blank. So it's Foden could come in, but he won't be coming in for a while. So if Foden continues to go wild, even against the tougher opposition, which he could do because, he did it against United and he's saying that that's his target this year. He wants to do well in the big games. Then I could obviously drop quite a bit. But at the same time, I'd be then expecting my players that I've got in with good fixtures to not do anything while Foden does well. So, yeah, like I said, I'm backing it and seeing what happens. I'm going to the Southwest Yeovil meetup on Saturday. Shout out for anybody in the chat that's going to that. So I get to, have my double game week wildcard on display for that. So fingers crossed it goes well.
Do you think he's been player of the season, Foden?
I think it's between him and Watkins probably. Watkins has been ridiculous.
Watkins and
30,
Rice are the three that come to mind, I think.
Yeah, so many Arsenals. I mean, Saka's still been very, very good as well. I think Foden's up there in terms of the progression he's made this year. But then Watkins is there as well. What we didn't think Watkins he's off pens and he's got 29 goal involvements this year. It's just ridiculous. We thought being off pens would hurt him a little bit, but he's done incredibly well. So yeah, I think it's probably between those two personally.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to select your wildcard. No one in the chat is. YV says I like it. Hines says go Andy. Wild Dom Dewsbury says decent plan. I like it. Webby's doing the same thing, exactly the same justification. SMB says like Andy's wildcard team. I do like it. I think there's obviously thought that's gone into it. We come over to 29 as well. This is how you'd be shaping up. So you'd have, 9 players, but then you'd probably move Solanke to Tony. Is that the plan?
Yeah. Yeah, so I looked into it on Sunday night. I was there for about 2 hours. I was chatting to Flappy as well, and I was trying to work out how to get 11. And I kind of came to the conclusion that getting 11 is actually not optimal. I'm looking at it and thinking, no, actually, I would rather have 10 and make sure I'm looking good after that. Because I think getting 5 to 6 doublers and 11 in the blank, you're going to have to be taking hits coming out of the blank to get those players you want. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep the money in the bank, not have to take hits to get Haaland and Salah back. So 10 players for this week made more sense to me. And obviously getting Tony in for Solanke as well. And I want Tony moving forward after that. So I think that's a good move to make. I think 10 is about right. Free hitters are obviously going to hurt me because they're going to have 11, but they're going to have most of the players I have anyway. But then obviously I get to keep some of them afterwards, which would be quite nice. So yeah, I think 10 is about right. I don't know what the percentages will be on how many are free hitting in 29. I'm not sure how much that's going to hurt me. Hopefully I still get a green.
Well, 40% of the poll that I did, if you want to take that. So there's going to be a lot of them. They're going to be very similar teams to yours. I mean, there's going to be, obviously they're going to have one extra player. And that one extra player could be an extra Spurs midfielder, could be Maddison, for example. It could be it could be a Langer. There is a potential for a decent haul for one of them that you don't have, but everyone else is pretty much covered.
Maddison I've been quite cool on actually. Since he's come back, I haven't really looked at him and thought I need him back. Like Son, I wanted straight away. Richarlison's $1 million cheaper than Maddison. I really actually quite wanted him to come back because I thought actually that would be a nice little one to bring in. Udogie I've obviously got. Their fixtures are nice, but I've been quite cool on Maddison for some reason. And I think Palmer, Saka, Bowen, Son, and then that other midfield is good. I could obviously, Douglas Luiz could move up to Maddison, but I need those funds in the bank to get Salah and Haaland back without a hit. That's the biggest thing. Yeah,
I mean, the tricky things for you are booking in those transfers, obviously, because you need to get Tony, then you need to get Salah, then you need to get Haaland.
Then Haaland, yeah.
Your other problem is that you're going to be left with a load of players who don't have a double later on, but then you've got the free hit to probably negate that as well.
Yeah. I mean, Bournemouth could. Bournemouth will, but I've got Palmer already. But yeah, it's not going to look as good as, say, those people that get all the Everton and Newcastle in on their wild card, if that's the way it goes. But then we don't know which way it will go yet, so we'll see.
Because then I thought it'd be interesting to look at how you'd shape up in 30. So this is probably something like what you'll look like in 30. Maybe Solanke's Tony. But you'd have Neto in goal with Reguilon, Zabani and Udogie, Palmer, Salah, Son, Saka, Douglas Luiz, Watkins and Solanke. I mean, that's a good 30 team.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you look at the team that I put together, so this is the team that I put together for if I was going to wildcard in 30. Mine would look something like this, which is quite different to yours. It's probably Pickford in goal because Everton have got an amazing run until the end of the season. I think you go hard on Newcastle, particularly for the first couple, because Newcastle have West Ham, Everton, Fulham, Spurs, 3 home games in 4. So that's one thing that wildcards can get over you, is that they can get in those Newcastle players. Hang on, I've lost the screen now. One sec. There it is. I've gone for Van Dijk because, again, I think Liverpool have got some really winnable games across those. And I think if to maximise the wildcard, you might even have to think about dropping Watkins and going for Darwin, just to come back to those fixtures again. But Liverpool's run from 30 is Brighton at home, Sheffield United at home. Right, it doesn't get much better than those two. And then Manchester United, you know what they can do against them. And then Palace at home. Again, it's 3 home games for Liverpool. Whereas Villa have my screen's just gone. Aston Villa have Wolves, Man City, Brentford. It's not a bad 3, and it's a risk, but I think you probably take the punt on Darwin, or at least get another Liverpool asset, so you haven't just got Salah.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. The biggest thing that I was looking at when I was looking at Game Week 30 is everybody else that is, wildcard in 30, you have to pick those City and Arsenal players. Unless you've got some plan that means you're not going to have them that week and then you're going to bring them in the next week, which I suppose is a strategy as well. But I'm not going to have those 2 City players, and I'm going to probably be able to bench my Arsenal defender, whatever it is. Although I think I'm playing him. I can't remember. Am I playing him? Is it Reguilon? If you go back to my team, Reguilon, Zabani, Udogie. Yeah, so I'm benching Gabriel in that one. Whereas obviously you're having to play your 2 Arsenal and 2 City. That could really hurt me. City could go wild against Arsenal, and then all of a sudden I'm struggling because obviously Arsenal are away. But you said earlier, actually, this is going to be a really tough week for defenders. And I've got, 2 home defenders against Everton, 1 home defender against Luton, and Reguilon against Man United at home, who his attacking output's been great. So, yeah, I don't hate it. I really don't. No. And then obviously in 31, I bring Haaland back when they've got Brighton, is it? I can't remember who City have got in 31. Oh, no, they've got Villa at home. And obviously we know Villa struggle a little bit away from home. So, yeah, the more you look at it, I think as the week's gone on, I think on Monday everybody was like, oh my God, you've ruined your season. And then as the week's gone on, people have started seeing what I was seeing on Sunday and kind of, for a week before Sunday as well, started saying, actually, it's not the worst thing you could do.
Yeah. No, I like it. I really do. And I don't think there's a huge amount of difference between what's here from what you're going to end up in 30 compared to what wildcarders are going to end up with. As well. Your only issue is injuries. If you start getting a couple of injuries, international break injury, that kind of thing, that can undo the whole plan. But you haven't taken any hits in lead up. So if you need to take some hits coming out on the other side, you're just in a similar position before.
If I want to bench boost in 34, then I will have to take 1 or 2 hits leading up to it. But I am more than happy to do that if I bench boost in 34, because obviously I'm getting the fixtures out of it. So we'll see what happens leading up to that. That is my plan, is to bench boost in 34 and free hit in 37. So, yeah, like you said, injuries is a thing. And we have had a lot of injuries this season that have kind of ruined plans. But like I said, I'm happy to take a couple of hits leading up to 34. And I do think this is the way I wanted it to go. I don't think, and I mentioned this the other week, didn't I? And Mark said the same thing. Game week 34 doesn't scream to me free hit, because it just, with the fixtures the way they are and the players that are doubling potentially, it doesn't scream free hit to me. It screams like it could be a really good bench boost week. So I'm hoping if I bench boost that week, by free hit 37, there's some absolute chaos. People are having a struggle to get to those players, and I can just free hit and have fun in the game week 37. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be a nervous watch for you, though. Liverpool, Man City. Jason Styling in the chat. Yeah, I don't think you can. Jason Styling says City will go wild against Liverpool. We got lucky so far as a Pool fan. Could have been 5-5 tonight. I mean, if it is a 5-5 and a Foden hat-trick, you are... You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's always nice when people have got different strategies and stuff on this. I remember last year, everyone wildcarded in the same week, didn't they? And I remember looking through the leagues.
Route.
Yeah, I remember looking through these. Everyone had exactly the same points, and there was like very little shift. So it'd be interesting. We'll come back to this in 5 or 6 weeks and see out of which one of us kind of actually went the better route and see how that went.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, thank you. Fixtures. No predictions from Mark because, like I said, he's out with some Bulgarian curtains. Apparently, he sent me his team, so I'll put that in. He sent me that at 21:09. Cheers, Mark. So hour and a half later than we planned. Let's run through these pretty quickly. Manchester United, Everton. I've given that the honour. Who the hell cares about Manchester United, Everton this week?
Oh, I do. I've gone 1-0 United.
Whoa.
Great game.
I've gone for a 2-1. I'm going to call it right now. Garnacho gets at least a goal in this because he's going to be on my bench. And he hates getting me points. Yeah.
Yeah. Overhead kick would take that. I don't see us scoring a lot of goals, personally. I don't see who's going to be scoring our goals. So, I've just gone 1-0.
Yep. Bournemouth, Sheffield United. You've gone for a 2-0. I've gone for a 3. I think 3 is the top. I can't. Yeah. I know Sheffield have been poor, but I can't see Bournemouth getting 4, 5, 6. I think it's going to be a 2 or 3. 2 or 3-0. Yeah. I've gone hopeful.
Yeah, I've tempered expectations. I didn't want to get too excited, so I just put 2-0.
That's understandable. Palace Luton. Interesting. We've both gone for a Palace win, 2-1 for Palace. That would also temper a lot of the hype around my little Kabore that I'm probably going to have to play. But Palace Palace stats are poor, but new manager. We still don't really know what they're about. We'll kind of have to see. And it's Luton obviously away from home. Wolves Fulham. You've gone for a 2-1 Wolves. Yeah, I said earlier about Fulham will hope to Wolves would hope to win that, but I do worry about them without that striker where the goals are going to come from.
Yeah,
and I have been impressed with Fulham in the games I've seen. Tricky one to predict. That one should actually be quite a good game.
Yeah, I think it could be actually. We say that it'll be 20 minutes in, it'll be absolutely dreadful, won't it?
Yeah.
But I fancy the home team to do it there. I think 2-1 makes sense.
I think the expectation will be Wolves, but I can see Fulham getting a surprise.
I think Fulham. I know they obviously beat United away from home, but that was only their second away win this whole season. So we'll see how they do against Wolves.
Yep, we've gone for a lot of the same results on some of the other games. So Arsenal, Brentford, we've both gone for a 3-0. Can't see anything other than a comprehensive win for. I mean, they are so good. Saka captains. We haven't even talked about that. How unlucky have you got to be?
I was streaming on Scoutcast. I couldn't stop holding my smile in.
I was playing squash, and I came out of the squash club, and I looked at the score, and I saw it was 4-0 when I came out after 30 minutes, and I was just like, oh my god, so middle class. I was like, oh my god, how many Saka got? And I was looking through it, 1 assist, and I thought, if that was a Saka 4 goals, that would be.
I mean, in some ways, they're lucky he even got that because it sounded like he was ill anyway.
Yeah.
And he probably shouldn't have played. So they obviously took him off at half time.
There was some rumours he wasn't going to start, wasn't there? Because I think it wasn't FPL Tony. It was the other City. Or maybe it was Tony. Tweeted and said, "Oh, unlucky Saka captainers or something."
Oh no, Gundogan.
Yeah, FPL Gundogan. That's it. Yeah. That was a concern, but his ownership was so high that we almost wanted him to miss out, which is stupid.
Yeah, 110% he was in my rank.
Ridiculous. Villa Spurs, I've gone for goals in this one. I've gone for a 3-2. You've gone for a 2-1. Now that is going to be a good game.
Yeah.
Is it on TV?
So. That's 1 o'clock. Probably not. One's, yeah. And then the Liverpool City game will definitely be on.
Yep, it is on TV. That's good. Brighton Forest, you've gone for a very hopeful Brighton win here.
Yeah.
I'm not as confident. I'm going for a Brighton loss.
Yeah,
2-1.
I mean, you know Brighton a lot more than I do. I just thought there'd be a lot of goals down tools a little bit now.
Yeah, it's not looking good for us. West Ham Burnley 2-1 should be goals in this one. I'm backing Bowen in this. He's someone I want, but
yeah,
I'm not going to get.
Good story that. No, it's I back. I don't think Burnley will score in this game personally. I think West Ham will have it.
Then Liverpool, Man City. We've both gone for what would probably be a dream result for you, a 1-1,
yeah,
or a narrow Liverpool win to 1-0 or something would be good. I think both teams score. They're both too too good. It's not going. I don't think it's not going to be a 1-0 or a 2-0, is it?
These next 3 weeks are so massive for the league, aren't they? And
Yeah.
like, I just don't know how they're going to go. You would back City in most cases, wouldn't you? Because obviously they've got the squad, they've got the team. But I just think at Anfield as well, I don't see. I see so many people saying that Man City are going to roll them over. I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen. So I've gone 1-1, and I think they'll just kind of take the points and run away, if that makes sense. But we'll see.
I mean, it's interesting when you look at the kind of the run-ins until the end of the season. I mean, Liverpool have got a good run. They can really build some momentum after that international break, because you'd expect them to beat Brighton, Sheffield United, Manchester United, Palace. I mean, then it's Fulham away, West Ham away, Spurs at home. That's quite tough, I think. Two away games with teams who are quite good at home. Arsenal have City, obviously huge. Luton at home, Brighton away, Aston Villa at home. They're quite tricky, kind of coming out of that. And City have Villa and Arsenal straight after the international break. So I think the momentum. I think there could be drop points for Arsenal and City straight after the international break potentially. And if Arsenal can capitalise on that, I'm backing Arsenal. I think Arsenal can do it. I said it at the start of the season. I think it's Arsenal's year.
As long as Haaland and Foden don't do anything, I'm happy.
It's a great title race, though. It's much more exciting when it's like this. Chelsea Newcastle on Monday night. We've both gone different here. I've gone for a 2-1 Newcastle. You've gone for a 2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, I think Chelsea. I think Newcastle are struggling, especially defensively, and I think Chelsea they're starting to have a few little click moments with the bits of their attacks, and I do back Palmer to get a return here. So yeah, I've gone 2-1 Chelsea.
I just don't like Chelsea at all. I think Newcastle. Yeah, it's the defence, isn't it? Does Howe turn it around? I think Trippier will cause problem if he's back, but if he's not, then he's not back. Is he definitely out?
Yeah, he's been declared out.
Yeah, maybe that does just swing it towards Chelsea. So it should be an interesting game. And then finally, Bournemouth Luton. Both gone for 2-1. Bournemouth. I think Luton score. I'm pretty confident Luton score, which kind of tempers me going double defence a little bit on Bournemouth.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, this could easily be like, a 0-0 or something like that, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But I think Bournemouth will score against them, and Solanke will then get his 4th goal of the double game week, so we'll all be happy.
I think if Kirkez is definitely going to play both, I'm going to risk it and go for the -4.
Yeah.
If Kelly gets like, we're going to take a late fitness test or something like that, then I think I'll just get Neto and not double up. That's the plan anyway. So that is that. Again, if you're interested in joining the predictions league for BlackBox, let us know. Join the BlackBox or the Godfather tier. You can join in the predictions league, so you can join this lovely spreadsheet that we have set up here, in which I'm doing all right, although I've dropped a couple of places. Where's Mark? He's down in 17th. We need to get you added to this list. We're actually changing to so Lee, who's one of our members, absolute legend. He runs this, set up the sheet, Excel, absolute whiz kid. We're going to be trying out a new system for this, maybe towards the end of this season. There's like a new website that's come out, which basically lets you do predictions against your friends. And obviously they've got like a template and stuff, and it all looks quite fancy. So we're going to try that at some point. But yeah, if you're interested in that, one of the perks of joining is you can join us. And of course, there'll be prizes for those that have the highest guess rate. At the moment, Angus is winning with 110 correct results out of 210. I was saying to Mark when we did this, it is interesting, the consistency. Like 50% is about as good as it gets, and you're thinking you're predicting all the games, you're right about 50% of the time. Well, it's quite interesting. It's, for people who obviously are quite involved in football and watching a lot of football, only around 50% are correct. So there you go. You can have that Premier League if you need that. Captain Matrix. I haven't even bothered getting the captain stats for this. I don't think we need to. I think Solanke is just so overwhelmingly the favourite. I don't even really know who to suggest if you were going to go against him as a differential, because City Liverpool is obviously tricky to predict. I mean, it's probably Saka, isn't it? Saka at home to Brentford, Saka. Or Palmer at home to Newcastle. But you like Solanke should be 200% EO, shouldn't he? Because everyone really should be captaining him.
Yeah, I don't. The only thing is, I suppose, if you don't own Solanke, do you go for a defender? It's tough. I think I go Saka if I didn't own Solanke.
Yeah, I mean, you could go for a Bournemouth defender if you think they're going to get the 2 clean sheets. You know,
Kirkes.
a Kirkes or a Neto potentially, but Solanke on pens.
Imagine going Neto.
Oh no, yeah, not going to happen. Yeah. Then 29, like we've said, is going to be between Tony and Son. 30, we're going to be wanting getting Salah in because Haaland has Arsenal. I mean, maybe you go Son versus Luton at home. Palmer has Burnley as well. Watkins has got the Derby game. But Salah v Brighton, you've got to think that's the favourite. He scored tonight, didn't he? Was that offside in the end?
He did. Yeah,
he did score.
No, I think he did score. Yeah.
I don't think him score, but then I wondered if it was offside. And then in 31, Salah's got Sheffield United. So if you're if you're not going to get him for 30, you've got to be getting him for 31.
Oh no, he didn't score. Sorry.
No, I think I saw him score, but I think it was offside. But he was back.
Yeah, I didn't see the offside.
He sort of scored. It's fine.
Yeah.
Morris says FCH Sean. Morris captain this week. I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess you could go Morris over Solanke. Yeah, Max Luanu, Jason Styling. Okay, few people for Morris. Are you really going to go Morris over Solanke?
Well, no, not over. If you didn't own Solanke, that's what you were saying, wasn't it?
If you didn't own Solanke, why wouldn't you? That's even worse. Why wouldn't you own Solanke?
Why would you own Morris, not Solanke? Semenyo, that's who you would go with.
Semenyo, he's the one. You're saying Semenyo, I'm saying Werner. What a stream. What a stream.
This is what happens when Mark's not here.
We've talked about your team already, obviously your wildcarding. This is me. I've got Martinez in goal. I mentioned playing Kabore. He's in there with Gabriel and Doty. It's Son, Saka, Foden, Palmer, Haaland, Watkins and Solanke. It's all very boring, I'm afraid. It's going to be Martinez to Neto. That's going to be the move because there's some free hitting in 29 and then Neto will just play if I need him or wildcarding in 30. There's no point. I could do Kelleher, but there's no point because I'm not going to play Martinez going forward. And then, like I said, I think if Kelly's out, definitely out for this week, then it will be Stupinan to Kirkes.
Yeah,
I might, to be honest, even if Semenyo, you've got bloody Semenyo in my head now. if Kelly's not out, I could be tempted to do a Stupinan to Zabani anyway.
Yeah.
And just not play Kabore because I think Kabore probably plays one max.
Yeah.
So maybe I just do that.
Good. I've just got to really hope that this Man City Liverpool game is low scoring.
I know. So many Foden, so many Foden Haalands. I have been requested Mark's team. I do have it. Hang on, give me a sec. Not the late Mark. Someone looks like he's dead.
God,
can confirm he's not dead. He's just in Bulgaria. This is Mark's team. Look at that, on the fly.
Oh, so professional.
Boom. So Mark's got Dubravka in goal against Chelsea. I assume he's getting Neto as well. Walker, Gabriel and Doty, Bailey, Palmer, Saka, Son, Watkins, Haaland, Solanke. Interesting, a little bit different. Obviously, he's got Bailey instead of who have I got?
Foden benched.
Oh, he's benching Foden. Yeah, that is interesting. So I imagine Mark's doing Dubravka to Neto. He might even be doing Walker to Zabani as well.
Or Trippier or Porro. What's he doing? Wildcarding in. He's free.
90% free hitting. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says.
Okay.
Foden benched. Oof. We're going to see some benching Fodes. We're going to see some benching Haalands as well. Interesting week.
I don't think we'll see benching Haalands. I think Foden will be.
You don't think we'll see any benching Haalands? You could argue that benching Foden is worse than benching Haaland.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bench Foden. I think he's going to get something. Sorry, Andy.
That's all right, mate. I'm expecting him to get something, as long as he doesn't get too much.
Doesn't go crazy.
Yeah.
So that's Mark. Black Box Leagues. We've got Sundeep at the top of the Black Box League. I think he's still first in the world as well. Another good week for him. Richard Smith in second. Henry Thornycroft in third. James H in fourth. They've been there for a lot of the season, having amazing seasons. Kevin Prendergast with a good week. He's up to fifth. Joe Cassidy in sixth. John O'Shea in seventh. Marco Mitovenik in eighth. Christian Launch in 9th and Mike Dobson is in 10th. The real battle, though, of course, is in the Black Box Apprentice leagues, where Ryan wildcarded and ended up the lowest scoring manager in the leagues, which is 63, which means that now Liesel had a good week. She's now just 2 points behind him as well. I'm kind of 15 points off them, so it's gonna be close between us three. That's genuinely my main target. Is finishing above.
I believe in you, Az. I believe in you.
Finish above Ryan, who's never finished in the top 500k, and finishing above Liesel, who's her first season playing. So yeah, that shows how good it's been. Looking at the Black Box Godfather League, again, there'll be kind of prizes for this. It's not too late to join. So as a member, we've got Richard Smith winning that, Pratik Panti in second, Avi Fructer in third, Conor Gray in fourth, Tom Gould in fifth, Mr. Mark Southerns has climbed up to sixth, Nick Baker in seventh, Nathan Jobling in eighth, Chris in ninth, and Chris Tanya in 10th. Got those 80s. So
Richard
consistent.
Smith won 1,848 points.
Nuts,
What's his
isn't it?
overall rank?
I know. It's because he's
That must be ridiculous.
it's because he's in the Godfather tier, Andy. He's
Oh.
I can tell you what his overall rank is. He is absolutely smashing Pratik, who's second. He's nearly 100 points off Pratik, and Pratik is having an amazing season.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
As well. You'd be gutted to be in this and lose it to that. Let me tell you what his he's got to be near the top. FPL Godfather Richard Smith, 18th in the world.
I was gonna say he must be like high up there.
18th in the world. Amazing stuff. So that is that. Final shout out to Fest. We've got Fest coming Friday the 16th of August in where is it? It's in Vauxhall. There it is. Food and Beer Garden. Central London location. Very nice. Meet, watch, learn. Still debating whether you're going to learn anything, but there will be FPL there. You're going, Andy?
Yes, I am going.
Nice. So yeah, Andy will be there. I'll be there. Come get an early bird ticket. Join us. ff-fest.com. Love to see you there. Come and have a chat with us. Brilliant, just a brilliant event. It's going to be even better this year. You know, the last years have been good, but not having the football has been a problem. Now the football's going to be there, and the location looks amazing. So I think people are going to have a really good time.
I'll do another shout out as well. If you're in the southwest, if you're near Yeovil on Saturday, come into Cooper's Mill at 12 o'clock. We'll be there. We're actually watching the Yeovil game as well.
No one's near Yeovil.
Yeah, they are. There's a few.
Miles away.
I think we've got 2 or 3 people coming now. me, Joe, and the mascot for Yeovil.
Yeah, nice. To me, that sounds like a good night. Actually, it's like
yeah, it does actually.
The Hangover Part 4.
Yeah, Joe with a massive tattoo on his face by the morning.
I'd love to see that. Excellent stuff. Thank you everyone for watching. I don't even know how many people we had. Oh, wow, we've got 1,000 people watching right now. So that is incredible. Do like the stream if you haven't already. Do drop us a comment as well. If you're listening to this on the podcast version, do give us a review. Help us maintain our 5-star review reputation. And we'd really appreciate that. Thank you for all the super chats in the stream as well. Hopefully we answered them all. I think I did. If we didn't, we did good. If we didn't, for a reason, drop us a comment and I will make sure they're answered. Andy, thanks for filling in for Mark. Been great to have you on.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
You're very welcome. And I think we're back to normal next week. Hopefully you'll be back with late tackle. But yeah, until we don't stream for ages, then we do 2 in basically a week. It's been nice.
I know. It's lovely.
Lovely.
Cheers, bub.
Just one before we go. FPL Alexander also share Mark's team he sent you. I did. We literally talked about it.
Yeah.
Go about 10 minutes. Yeah. Perfect. Didn't give me a lot of attention, but he's not here, is he? So it's fine. He won't mind. Anyway, thanks everyone. See you next week.
Cheers.